Welcome to a shot between the reels. My name is Dan, and over on this side,
My name is Brendan.
hey Brendan,
Hi, Dan. Are you excited to talk about more Resident Evil?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited because we get to talk about Resident Evil films once again. And in some ways, I'll be really sad because this is our third episode devoted to the Resident Evil franchise, and we won't talk about these films ever again.
Well, it's true. It's been a journey, I would say.
It has. It has. It felt like when I finished the last film, I wanted to stand up and have some sort of medal ceremony happen in front of me, where someone came along and gave me flowers, and someone else came along and put a medal over my head and around my neck.
But would you say it was more like how Chewbacca was robbed of a medal in the very first Star Wars film? Like when they gave everyone a medal and then they didn't give him one. So,
I felt very much like Chewie. Yeah.
I was going to say it. For me, it felt more like I started off with a meal that I was really excited. I was excited for. I was like, this is going to be fun. It's a delicious meal. And then I ate so much of it, I started to feel really sick. And then I just was sick everywhere.
And then my food was sick on me as well. Yes, very good. Very good. Okay, yeah. So we've made it. Part 3, the final 2 films in the Resident Evil franchise. Now, I was going to check something before we get into these films. I think I read somewhere that they're going to make a TV series.
It's interesting because I read that they were doing a straight up reboot of the franchise.
Oh.
So I don't know.
I feel like I should have looked this up earlier, but let's have a very quick look.
Okay.
So I feel like, why have Amazon got all the films all of a sudden?
Oh, interesting. Well, I mean,
oh no, it's apparently Netflix.
Of course, it's Netflix.
8-episode series has been greenlit. So of course that's why Amazon Prime Video got all the movies.
Yeah, exactly. Go and catch up there first before you have to go over to Netflix to see.
It's the people who made Supernatural, I believe. There you go.
Oh, you just give me enough reasons to avoid it. Sounds great.
So we'll see. I'm sure in the next couple of years we'll be watching that on Netflix or avoiding it. So
yeah. So our next film, Dan, is Resident Evil Retribution.
Retribution.
Yeah.
Yes. Number 5 out of 6.
Yeah.
And now, Brendan, shall we do our star rating first?
Yeah, let's.
Then we can find out what Alice is up to.
So this one, for me, excitingly, pops back up to a 3 stars rating.
Seriously?
It does.
Seriously?
It does. It genuinely does, and I have good reason.
You have good reason. I'm looking forward to hearing these reasons.
I know. Yeah.
Anyway, my star rating is 2.5 stars.
Oh!
There we go.
Okay.
3 stars though, Brendan.
Yeah.
That's a recommendation.
I know. So this...
tell us what Alice is up to. Come on.
This film all right, I'm trying to jog my memory, but I believe this film starts out where in that last film where we saw the breakout of the pandemic, interestingly, they go back to that exact same shot and you see the breakout of the pandemic. And we basically...
No. This is the one. I remember this one.
Yeah.
Because it's bloated and long.
Oh, this is the thing where at the beginning...
everything's in reverse.
It's her waking up and it's like looks completely different and she's in a house.
Even before that, Brendan.
Oh, no way. Come on.
I know. Maybe this film has multiple starts.
Oh, it feels like it must do. Go on.
Because this is the one where the title sequence Is this the right one? I think it is. Where, yeah, no, she's underwater and everything's in reverse, and they go back onto the Arcadia, and they're shooting, and then you see it all play back out.
That's it. It's like
Forward.
3 starts, isn't it? We see it all in. It's all the reverse shot, which is actually quite interesting.
It's funny because you have about 5 minutes of it all playing out in reverse, and then it all plays out in about 15 seconds.
I was going to say like 20 seconds.
Yeah, it's absolutely mental. And then she wakes up in the house.
Yeah,
and she's married with a kid, and you're like, okay.
She's married to that guy that we weren't a big fan of in the other film, and we see her like trying to escape, and she does. Spoiler: she does die, and then we kind of we go to the next bit where we find she's actually imprisoned in Umbrella's headquarters. And is it Claire that's kind of like under a...
No, we're going back to Apocalypse now, aren't we? And it's old Jill. Is it Jill?
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Jill Valentine.
With
new hair's changed, hair's longer. She's blonde
changed, and she's got like the spider thing on her chest.
Yeah, exactly. So we saw the spider thing in the previous film.
We did, yeah, in like the...
Yes, in Afterlife.
Yes, we did.
Because that's when Claire had it on. Yes.
Correct. And then as they get... The whole thing is then basically like getting out, isn't it? Getting out of Umbrella. That's basically the crux of this film. And
now,
so
we're in basically like this massive Umbrella underground base where they do the
simulations of the outbreak.
Simulations, so they could,
So they could weaponize. They had the T virus, and they were selling it to. They were like showing it. It's quite an interesting idea. They're like showing how the outbreak would work, and then selling it to like the highest bidder from all the different countries.
Yeah.
With the idea that they would all kind of attack themselves. I like it. So it's got an interesting idea. And then we have, of course, we have Albert Wesker back, but we also have Ada Wong in this film.
Ada Wong. Ada.
Yeah, we do. So we've got her, and we got a ragtag group of people coming to rescue them.
They're basically like mercenaries, aren't they?
Yes, and we have old Mr. Swish Hoops coming down for some odd reason.
Yeah, whatever. Luther West.
Yes, Luther West, he's back. And we do also have Leon Kennedy in this film.
It's the first time we have Leon turn up.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, wasn't a fan of Leon, and I wasn't a fan of Ada either.
No, I think she may be slightly better than him.
Really? She has a bit more to do, but pretty much every line that she has in the film is there to tell you, as the viewer, what is happening.
Yeah.
And that I found so annoying.
Well, expositional dialogue is like heavy in these films.
It was kind of like Alice would be like, "What do we do next?" And she's like, "We need to get out of here now." Like, wow, this character's got real depth. Hurry up, because we need to get moving. Time's running out. We need to get to the rendezvous point.
Yes, upon reflection, she's not all that exciting, admittedly. But the fact that she gets to do a bit of action is always a bit of fun. I think what I personally liked about these films is I like a bit more of the fact that we're driven through these environments. I think that's the fun part. Really.
100% agree. Yeah, those environments, really clever idea. Really cool. Really cool. I like that each of them kind of had good bits about them that you liked for different reasons. I really like the New York one myself, with the sort of, we talked about in the last one about the guys, the massive giants who have the drag around their axe. 2 of those meatheads.
Yeah.
That was good fun. And that's kind of what you're signing up for when you watch these films. You want the kind of ridiculous fight sequences.
Yeah, the stupid action. Yeah.
Yeah, and they get blown up, don't they, with the old oil tank or whatever. That's good fun.
And then I think you have, because you also have the explaining of the all the kind of different Alice types as well, and clones and
Yeah,
things. So you get a bit of that, don't you? Like she runs into a girl who's supposed to be her daughter,
yeah,
who's somehow survived in one of the simulations, and then later on you start to see other. I remember we spoke at the beginning of these films, and I hadn't seen these, and you said, "Oh, weirdly, I think Michelle Rodriguez shows up again in these films." And I was thinking, how does she show up?
yeah,
And of course, soon enough, we'd understand that apparently anyone can show up in these films again because they just talk about clones all
yeah.
of the time. All of the
It's
time.
amazing what you can do when you can clone someone from their DNA.
So they keep showing up, and we basically, what's interesting about that, I think, is you get Michelle Rodriguez that doesn't even know how to fire a gun and
Yeah,
supposedly is into peaceful protest, and then you get Michelle Rodriguez that, no joke, at one point punches someone so hard I think she stops his heart.
yeah. That's Luther, isn't it? She
Yeah,
killed
I think she
Luther.
does it to Luther and maybe to someone else.
And I gotta be honest, I enjoyed that moment.
I, I
It was
did.
like, yes, he's dead.
I did as well. I did as
And
well.
it's funny as well because you have that like slow motion bit, and then it cuts to kind of like the kind of CGI bit where you kind of
It's
see
like
inside
the
the body.
Mortal Kombat thing, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because she does it to Alice, but she doesn't actually kind of stop her heart.
Mm. She's got plot armor. Damn, she can't die.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, the bit. Yeah, that fight sequence at the end is a bit mental. I know we
I mean,
skipped that
again,
forward, but
it's proper. It's proper like video game, isn't it? I think they
yeah,
all
she gets shot by bullets, and then the bullets come out of her fingertips. So weird, isn't it? They kind of come out of her body and then out.
like down her veins and then like out of
Yeah.
her fingertips. And you also have her death. I'm gonna do this. This indicates her death.
Yeah, it's really good.
She shoots the ice from beneath her. She falls in the water, and then the dead drag her down into the water.
Yeah, that bit's cool.
It's
Yeah, I. The other thing that kind of frustrated me a bit was they cast Kevin Durand. Okay, so I don't know if you recognise Kevin, but he basically doesn't have an actual character. But he's the guy who plays Barry Burton. He's called Barry. And I did find that a bit distracting when every now and then they'd just be shouting Barry. It'd be like,
super tough guy named Barry.
and I was just kind of like, how many times do you hear someone called Barry in like a Hollywood film? Anyway, yeah, and he kind of, I feel like he's a bit wasted in this. I've seen him in some bits, and some films he can be a bit cheesy, but he can also be good and entertaining. But they just kill him off in this.
Got the like, this is weird, right? Because you've got, is it like the super? It's like a super liquor, but it's like something else. I don't know. It's really massive.
Yeah,
It's like a tank with an exposed brain type thing, and it's
yeah,
again a chance for them to do serviceable CGI, but not really very good at all.
yeah. It's
And
certainly better than the first film.
oh,
Crikey.
for sure. I mean, it doesn't take much to be that, but it's
Yeah,
yeah. I I'm being kind to give this film 3 stars, but it shows that I had fun. I was enjoying what I was watching. So
yeah,
more certainly than some of the other installments. the other
yeah.
installments. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we've definitely got a bit of nerdgasming going on in this one as well. I think Jill Valentine's outfit, because she's got that weird spidery thing on her chest, that obviously means she has to have a very low cut top,
Well, of course, all the time.
figure hugging attire.
Yeah, ridiculous
One
black
for the lads.
purple suit, and then you've got Alice is basically all black
Yeah,
leather skin tight in this, isn't she? And then
Yeah,
Ada
because
Wong.
even she from old Michelle Rodriguez's character, she gets the whole B&M comment.
And yeah, she does, yeah. And then you've got like, what's the Ada Wong obviously is wearing her signature outfit from the game. So she's wearing like,
Totally impractical.
yeah,
I mean, the guys, they go in and they're not wearing like a vest to show off all their muscles. Like they're wearing proper clothes. Whereas she's like, I'm about to go out to a party.
it's just, I just love that they took elements of the games which no way translate whatsoever, and then
Yeah.
other bit they like cherry pick it basically completely. But it's, yeah, it's awful for those reasons. But
But you loved it, Brendan, and I won't let you forget it.
I
Okay.
mean, yeah, I I
That's
did
too
enjoy
far,
it.
I think.
Love is a strong term, Dan. I did not love it, but
You
I did
enjoyed it.
enjoy it. Yeah.
And that's fair enough. You're allowed to enjoy films that aren't good. That's fine. So we've
Yeah.
come to the final chapter.
Yeah.
So again, the previous film, before we move on too far, the previous film kind of ends where this one starts. So we kind of have it bit set, or you think it's going to get set up,
Yeah.
because you think it's mankind's final stand is going to happen in the center of the world, Washington DC.
I'd like to
Obviously,
say that the ending of that film is so stupid. Like suddenly there are like they're basically like dragons. What is
yeah,
going on? What is
yeah,
going on? The end of that film is,
dragons, yeah,
yeah.
and that leads us to the final chapter. Shall we do our star ratings?
Yeah.
Brendan, hit me.
I gave the final chapter 2 stars.
Wow, 2 stars.
Yeah.
Okay, for this one, I'll be honest. I hovered over a slightly lower score, but I ended up going for 2 stars for Resident Evil: The Final Chapter.
Oh, interesting.
I almost gave it 1.5.
It's fascinating you should say, because I was very close as well to the same, and I just picked it higher at the end.
And I think 1 whole star goes to one man. Before we even get into the plot,
I know.
Ian Glenn is back as the bad guy.
And he is killing it in this film. He is proper killing it.
He is chewing up the scenery. He is having a great time. And he was one of the reasons why it was bearable,
Well,
frankly.
he is like having a meal with what's going on screen. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got it all going.
Yeah, honestly. To be honest, spin-off series, Dr. Isaac's, spin-off standalone movies. That's
Resident
what I
Evil,
want to watch.
Dr. Isaacs, sign me up.
Yeah, I want to see him making clones in the lab. Just that. I bet even that would be good.
So they know instantly what they got with these films, right? Because the one thing that I would complain about these films overall is I hate I hate the fact that they pretty much all, I think they all open. Someone can tell me if they don't, but they pretty much all open with Alice telling you what's going on since the first one. So she has to sum you up on what's happened. And I think that's
Let me
because,
tell you about all the films that have already been 5 or 6 hours worth of films that you haven't watched.
and you have to get all of the stuff, because they know the kind of people watching this probably don't even care about the other ones before they just like, so they're like, we're just going to catch you up just because we know you don't really care.
Can you
So
imagine going to the cinema, paying money, having not seen the previous films, turning up and watching this?
I mean, I saw the kind of people sometimes that go to the cinema when I worked a cinema job, so I know that, yes, I can imagine those people going. But still, I,
Yeah.
I think so. We get the whole her telling it, but then from the beginning of this film, again, interesting, kind of cool start. We get the true story of how everything went down.
Yes. Now, I feel like this was a positive thing in the positive column, if I was making a list of things,
Agreed.
actually this kind of plot development made it come full circle quite nicely within this. It kind of finished off the series in a fairly complete way.
I think so.
I
We
mean,
see that like Dr. Isaacs is like the main big bad, and we get Albert Wesker is kind of just like a little player in his story. He's not really anything major, and he actually gets a bit of a he gets a funny but stupid ending in this film as well. But like for a bit of a weak character, really, in the end. But I will say I'm going to start off with something that really pissed me off about this film. This is a this this
do
is
it.
a chat.
This is Brendan. This is a safe space.
This is a challenge. This is a challenge for people that are watching along with this, if they are, and or anyone discovers this. Try and count the amount of seconds between each time there is a change in a shot from one to the next, and it's especially bad in action scenes. Most of the time, I couldn't count to 5 seconds without them changing a camera angle. Sometimes I couldn't even count to 1 second. I am not joking when I say that. It was mental. The action scenes are so difficult to follow most of the time.
Yeah.
The only time the camera slows down sometimes is when we get dialogue. So I was praying for dialogue sometimes just so I could be like, oh, my eyes get a bit of a rest.
Yeah.
It's needless. And you know what? It forced me to mark this film even like I nearly went much lower than I initially did. Like you said, Ian Glenn saved this film, in my opinion.
I think the editing, it reaches its climax when Alice is fighting Dr. Isaacs, where I think each shot lasts less than half a second.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you can't work out what's going on. It's
like
that flipping mental.
Watching it. It's like I can't. Yeah, not even.
Okay. Can I share one of my frustrations?
Yeah, go for it.
So at the end of the last film, you're setting up for a big battle, right? So what do you do for the start of the next film? You start it after the battle's finished. Now, just show me something. Just show me bits of it. I wanted to see, like, don't tease it. Don't go, look, here's Earth, mankind's final stand, and then not show us any of it. Basically say, oh, you find out there's less than 500 people left on the planet now. Great.
And they don't tell you anything about it, do they? They say there's like a bit of throwaway dialogue where they say, "Oh, Albert Wesker turned on you again, and he takes all your powers away again." So he gives them back at the end of the last film, and then he takes away almost immediately. We don't see the fallout of that battle. We see a stupid thing of her fighting this weird kind of like dragon
thing
creature at the beginning of the next film, which feels like discount Reign of Fire, and even Reign of Fire is not all that good either. So I mean, like,
I don't know. Now you're talking Reign of Fire. Reign of Fire. Now that is amazing. I mean, it's not great, but it is a pleasurable film to watch.
I mean, you do get obviously a very different Matthew McConaughey in that film, but it's. But we're not talking about Reign of Fire, but still, it's.
I'd rather we were talking about Reign. Can we do that one soon, please?
We can do that one soon. But I just think the action makes me angry in this. It just physically made me angry in this film. I don't know if I have a whole lot to say about it. I mean, maybe because at this point I was like burnt out on these films.
Maybe. There was another thing that peeved me off. There was quite a few sequences where it was so dark, I could barely see what was going on.
Yeah.
And I kind of understood why, because obviously you want that kind of element of surprise and.
Yeah.
But I was just like, why is it so flipping dark? Like, really? And like, I guess, yeah. I mean, the film comes full circle. She has to go back to the hive. This time, the Red Queen is on her side.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're, well, at least so we're led to believe.
Yeah.
And obviously, she ends up being so. And then we find out that Alice is the Red Queen, and she's also super old.
Oh,
But
by
not
the way,
old.
most obvious reveal that
Yeah.
someone is the secret bad person.
Yeah. As soon as you have that board meeting where you hear the woman talking, you're like, oh, it's going to be Alice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like because initially I quite like the idea of them almost retracing the steps of the first film, so going back into the hive. You see
Yeah.
the same sort of camera angles. They do all the thing like working around the wireframe and going in to see all the people. And I thought this is good. It's like full of traps, and
Yeah.
slowly, as soon as those extra people are like, can we come, can we go along into the hive? You're
Yeah.
like fodder, like general fodder to go in.
They didn't even bother to like give half those people screen time. So the guy, when they're in those like tunnels, they look like air vents.
Yeah.
The guy who falls down there, I was like, have I seen this guy before?
It was, I think basically they don't get names, do they? They don't give them names. They're not important. We don't give them names. You can see their face for 1 second, maybe like a
Yeah.
half a second, and then you'll see them die in a grisly way.
Part of me, oddly enough, actually wondered. Now, in the end, I felt like this film was too long
Oh, it's definitely too long.
because it's about 15 minutes longer than most of the others.
Yeah, it's the longest one, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Oddly enough, though, I kind of feel like it might have been better had it been longer and they'd put more effort into it and done like a more epic story, have the battle at the start, actually invest in some of these characters, maybe have those characters who she ends up encountering later at the hive, have those in the fight at the start, be a bit more invested in those people. But in the end, it's just, I was glad it was over, I'll be honest
I
with you.
was. And then when it has that whole thing of she releases the antivirus, doesn't she, into the air, but she
Very
said,
convenient that it's an airborne antivirus.
and she says, oh, but at the beginning, the T virus traveled on planes and all over the place through these people, and now it's airborne. It's going to take a while to get across the planet. So my work here isn't done. And then she's off on her bike and she's
Being
off for.
chased by two dragons this time, was it? Two? I was like, I thought this was over. Basically setting it up for there to be like another film.
They bloody called it the final chapter, Dan. They called it the final chapter.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like a final chapter ending to me, but I mean,
Maybe there's like is it an epilogue at the end?
if they do another one, all sins are forgiven, and they call it Resident Evil epilogue. But yeah, it's.
I mean that we talked a bit about the names of these films. I think the final chapter has to be the laziest one. Does it not?
It is. I mean, when you consider, I hate the naming of the films, but when you consider the other naming of the films, this feels like he'd written that as a holder title on a piece of paper, and then they looked at it and went, yeah, that's pretty good. Let's take on that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
I feel like before we get too sad about how bad this the final film is,
Well,
overall performance by Mila Jovovich, she basically carries this whole franchise.
yeah.
And she's pretty good, isn't she?
You can't knock her for giving a good performance. I think she's doing the best with what she's given, and there is proof that she can be a versatile actress. She's done comedy, and she's done drama, and she's done horror. She is not a bad actress, I don't think. She's just been given a raw deal in these films. I mean, no doubt it's lined her pockets.
Or Brendan, she's been given a big paycheck.
Well, yeah, it's if for sure it's lined her pockets, or her not pockets, as these films often show that
Hey,
she's.
if her career goes south, she can go to things like Comic-Con and other kind of conventions and, sell photos, sign photos of herself.
True.
She'll have work for life in that
Yeah,
sense.
it's very
She'll
true.
be fine. She'll be fine.
She'll be fine. She's
Um,
she's not gonna do bad, is she? Let's be fair. But I think you're right. Her and Ian Glenn hamming it up a treat. Oh, special mention before we start talking about this film. I love the way he goes out in this film. He kills himself. I mean, you,
yes.
you can't you can't get better than that. It's a
Yeah.
good
What
ending.
was the line that he said? Something like that. That's not me. I'm just like,
Where he says, I'm the only one that can be me," or something like that.
yeah.
And he doesn't. It's not like he shoots himself. He
He full on
stabs
stabs
him.
himself.
He
Yeah.
stabs himself. Yeah,
It's quite a scene, isn't it?
it's pretty. It's
Oh,
pretty
okay. So the best line in
go
this
on.
film, when finally you have the Red Queen, Alice, and Alicia, and this is the line that Dr. Isaacs delivers. Ah, how touching. The trinity of bitches, united in their hatred.
I forgot about that. Oh my word!
A good line.
It's
Trinity
great.
of bitches. I proper lolled.
I think when he said "Trinity of bitches," I, I genuinely think I did rewind it because I wasn't sure if he actually said "Trinity of bitches," and like that is good.
Yeah.
That's some stellar writing right there, and a good delivery from Ian Glenn. But of course, we would expect nothing less. Also, did you love his? You love the fact that they have the the analyzing of the scene of how quickly they could potentially.
I was just about to mention that. Brilliant. That was definitely a highlight moment.
Yeah.
It's so dumb, and it
And
is quite video gamey, and he really
he's like
had that.
100% likelihood that she's gonna fail. There's like no
Yeah,
way
yeah.
she'll ever pass.
Don't bother. You don't make it to the ice pick, the decanter.
I
Or
mean, if you thought it was all video game last boss stuff with Wesker, this film notches it up to 11. It's like really dumb, so dumb.
yes.
But yes, that's I think that's probably all we have to say about this film, unless there's something
Oh,
burning.
yeah. Well, we've made it to the end. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Pats on the back. We've done it. Okay, so what I would have wanted to do is count up the stars and work out what we gave it overall on average, but I think it's sitting pretty kind of around the 2.5, 3-star average per film.
I think you could. There's some that you could do without. I would say, like you could just straight up skip. There's some for the novel factor of how dumb they are. You could watch. I don't know. You're gonna know if these films are the kind of things that you want to. We've basically, if you've watched these all the way through and you haven't watched the films, we've probably given you the
Yeah.
digest that you need to not watch them. So
Or it's enough for you to just to go in and enjoy them.
yeah,
Because the reality is, spoiling the plot, if someone had sat down and told me the plot, it wouldn't have ruined the enjoyment of these films.
true.
Because Alice isn't going to die until the last one. And even if she does, clones, it doesn't matter.
Apparently not.
So, yeah, I think it's definitely in that bracket of switch your brain off.
And
Enjoy.
it might be telling that we had to genuinely recall the plot a lot, a lot of the time, and we haven't not long watched a lot of these. So
Still fresh in the banks, in theory. But yeah, they do generally blur in. Okay. I think if you have endeavoured with us, well done. If you haven't watched any of these, but you've watched us slowly kind of lose our minds watching these films, then I hope you enjoyed watching us do that. So it's almost Christmas season, Brendan.
Oof, exciting.
I wonder whether there'll be some Christmas presents for our viewers soon in the form of Shot Between the Reels Christmas film reviews.
Interesting. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Maybe on the horizon. Maybe there'll be delicious gifts to unwrap. There we go. Anyway, Brendan, it's time to say goodbye. So, fairly well, viewers, fairly well, Brendan, and I will see you soon. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.